I have been humbled by the Ukrainians' unity, resilience, fortitude. I would first like to ask for a moment of silence for all of our fallen brothers and sisters in Ukraine and elsewhere. Again, every moment I have deeper and deeper gratitude and appreciation for the Ukrainian people, for the Ukrainian diaspora, for the Ukrainian president. So please, a moment of silence if we can. Thank you. Putin has been called many things. Putin has been called schizophrenic, an animal. I think we can summarize it in one thing. He is pure evil at this point. He is no different than the biblical Satan or any of the other evil that you can imagine. He is just simply pure evil. And that is why this is a fight against good and evil. It is not just Ukraine and Russia. It is the goodness of the world versus the evil of the world. And that is what Putin represents. He is, at this point, in my opinion, and not only in mine, and by many others, he is like a rat trapped in a corner. The most recent referendum was simply laughable. He is the only person in history to annex parts of another nation where he is actually losing. As we all know, he's losing in Donetsk. Donetsk is Ukraine. Lugansk is Ukraine. Crimea is Ukraine. There is no doubt about it. The UN says it. World leaders says it. Ukrainians says it. We all here say it. Putin will lose. It is just a matter of time. There is no future for Putin. He is hanging on by a thread every single moment and doing more and more ridiculous things. Zelensky, as we know, was offered peace deals. He rejected it. Zelensky was threatened with nuclear war. He laughed at it. Zelensky has been threatened with the annexation. He laughed at it. And not only him, along with the free world community. At this point, even China doesn't want to stand by Russia. He is all by himself and maybe a few of his vassals that are still sucking on his teat.
No deals with Russia!
No deals with Russia! No deals with Russia!
No deals with Russia! No deals with Russia! No deals with Russia! No deals with Russia! No deals with Russia!
Thank you, Tasha. Arthur earlier said prosecute the regime. I will go one step further and say death to the regime. We don't need prosecution, we need death. The prosecution can be very quick, but the ultimate thing is death. We will not have a free world, we will not have a free Ukraine, and I know I've been talking about Ukraine, nor a free Armenia until Putin falls. Armenians ask me every day, what's going to happen to our country? What's going to happen to our country? When is it going to be time? I said, when Putin falls. It's as simple as that. The moment Putin falls, everything will be reborn. And this fall will be much worse than the prior falls. This will be much worse than when Tsar Nikolai fell, which was another imperialist. This will be much worse than when Gorbachev fell. I know some people, I hope none of you, think that he's a Nobel laureate. He's not. He was just as evil. He was forced to do that. Putin's fall will be more devastating than what happened in 1917, than what happened in 1991. They will not be able to reinvent themselves. As far as Armenia, I'm very happy to say that it took a long time, but finally Armenians are waking up and realizing they cannot have Putin as an ally. And they are realizing, friends that were mocking me and saying, why are you going to Ukrainian rallies? I said, I'm going to Ukrainian rallies because they are fighting evil. I would go to Chihuahua rallies if they were fighting evil. Aside from the fact, I don't mean to compare them, but I have the utmost respect for Ukrainian. But the important thing is that they were fighting evil. And now finally, Armenians are realizing it. Georgians are realizing it. Moldovans are realizing it. All, of course, we have our Kazakhstan, friends from Kazakhstan over here. They are realizing it. And My apologies, I would just like to say a few words in Armenian because we know that we may only be a few hundred people over here, but through the miracle of the internet, believe it or not, a few million people will be watching. So I'd like to say a few words in Armenian to my Armenian brothers and sisters. Մենք այսօր հավաքվել ենք Նյու Յորքի Times Square-ի կենտրոնում մեր ուկրաինացի քույրերի եւ եղբայրների հետ, որ կրկին ասենք, որ աշխարհի չարիքը Պուտինն է։ Դրա համար պետք է մենք պայքարենք այդ չարիքի դեմ, ազգովի երկրագնդով։ Ինչքան շուտ Պուտինի ռեժիմը տապալվի, այնքան շուտ մենք կարող ենք ունենալ ազգային պետություն, այնքան շուտ կարող է Ուկրաինան միավորվի եւ նորից դառնա իրանց ազգային պետության տերը։ Պուտինը պիտի տապալվի, ուղղակի ժամանակի խնդիր է։ Հայեր, գիտակցեք, մի անգամ ու վերջ, որ մեր գլխավոր թշնամին Ռուսաստանն է, այս դեպքում Պուտինի Ռուսաստանը, ինչպես առաջ Նիկոլայի Ռուսաստանը, Պետրոսի Ռուսաստանը, Ստալինի Ռուսաստանը, Բրեժնևի Ռուսաստանը, բոլորը չարիք են, այդ չարիք կայսությունը պետք է տապալվի։ One other thing I'd like to add. Many people remember, of course, Armenians like to say that we had the first genocide of the 20th century. And of course, there was the Jewish Holocaust. But a lot of people don't know that the greatest genocide perpetrated was against the Cherkess people by Russia. Almost 98% of Cherkessians were slaughtered. That number, the Jews or the Armenians or the Rwandans don't even come close to that. I don't mean to, of course, belittle any of the genocides, but we need to realize that Russia is also a perpetrator of genocide, and it's nothing new. They also had their hand in the Armenian genocide. They played their part in the Holocaust, even though they eventually came to side with the Allies, only because they were forced to. They are genocide perpetrators from day one. This is nothing new. It is just now, because the world has become smaller, that we are realizing it. Thank you very much. Slava Ukraina!